Today I want to talk about Fred's car barn. If you don't know what I'm talking about, maybe you don't follow Obsessed Garage, I'll put a link in the description to the video series for the garage that I'm talking about. This is a garage in northern Santa Barbara County. It's around 30 miles away from my house. And it was designed and equipped by the guys at Obsessed Garage. I had the opportunity to help the OG guys get this garage set up and dialed in. They spent about 8 days on site. I spent about 20 hours working with them over the course of like 3 days. I just want to talk about the experience I had working with the guys and some of the things that I saw there that I'm excited at looking at for my own garage. So first off, anyone who follows OG is probably going to ask, what were the guys like if you haven't met them in person? Honestly, true to video. The personalities, the jokes, the conversation, a lot of it was the same way as it is on video. Matt said something along the lines of like, he's not creative enough for that personality to be a show, or something along those lines. It was different for me to see a YouTube channel where they have professional videographers, because obviously like I videotape my own stuff, I edit my own stuff, I'm just a small channel. But they have two full-time people. They have one that just does video, and they have one that does like all of the social media stills and you know, all that kind of stuff, B-roll. So the whole day you're there and they're like recording and there's cameras around and stuff, and you know, I didn't know like whether to jump into the conversation or not jump into the conversation a couple of times when they were like just joking around. So I mentioned their camera guy, Mike Waba, the same thing that I just said, like, sorry, I feel like I keep talking in your videos, and he's like, no, don't worry about it. We record in whatever, no big deal. We'll edit out anything that we need to, and no worries. So Fred's garage is a car barn. It's about 3,000 square foot in total usable space. It has a main garage that can hold 9 cars, maybe a little bit more, but it can comfortably do 9 cars is how I would describe that. There's a separate wash bay, so it's a single car wash bay. With a, you know, pressure washers mounted there, hose reel, just kind of what you'd expect. It's on a side of the building where there's kind of a constant shadow that's about 10 feet from the door. So you could work like half in, half out, but there is drainage in that wash bay. It's actually really cool. There's a storage room, there's a half bathroom, and then he's got a separate office space upstairs, which is small but reasonable. It's about the size of my office here. You know, it's probably 160 square feet, something thereabouts. The main garage has vaulted ceilings. It's exceptionally well lit. And Fred designed the garage to kind of have these different zones. And he actually had this paper hanging on the wall with like the things that he wanted to use the garage for. So he created a wash bay for washing cars. He has 3 lifts, but one of them has extra lighting for doing paint correction and detail work. One of them that's centered has an extra high ceiling above it so that he can lift larger vehicles, and he would normally use that as like his maintenance bay. And then he has one that he was talking about using for like restoration work because he has some cars that he's restored. And then he has parking space for daily drivers, for his pickup truck, he has a Porsche Taycan, he has an EV charging, level 2 charging station inside there, just, you know, normal parking storage like you would expect. One of the coolest things about this garage was the lighting. So in the garage, he had Cree LS fixtures, which are the same lights that I have here in 5,000 Kelvin. And then right next to those Cree LS fixtures, he had DMF 4-inch can lights. And those were in 4,000 Kelvin, a warmer color. So this kind of allows you to run 5,000 Kelvin and have it be a very clinical detail space where you've got high brightness and you can see, you know, minor scratches when doing like paint correction and that type of work. But then the 4,000 Kelvin DMF lights are a warmer light, which is more inviting. And he was talking about using this barn as like event space so that he could have people over, he could do events, he could, you know, they could have a party, a get together there, cars and coffee, you know, something along those lines, and have this be an event space. And I thought that was a really cool idea. He basically lit the garage twice, but it gave him a lot of versatility and options. The whole garage has Swiss Trax, Rib Trax, Pro tiles, slate gray and jet black border, kind of like my garage has. I have the smooth tiles, he has the regular rib tiles. The lifts are recessed in the floor so that they're flush with the tiles when they're all the way down, which is really cool and something that I would love to have at some point in the future. Some of the things that I was the most excited to see Lista cabinets. So I've looked at Lista cabinets before and I've experienced Lista cabinets before, but he had them in a custom green color. And because of that, his finish was like really, really good. Even Matt from Obsessed Garage commented the same thing, that Matt's white cabinets that he has in his own personal garage don't have as good of a finish as the green ones that Fred bought. And we think it's because it's a custom color, that maybe there's a little bit more attention to detail or a little bit more inspection work goes into that before it goes out. But the finish was awesome. There are no like weld marks or no jank. The edges are like perfect. It looked really, really good. And I'm not really like a green person. Well, I guess I've never really been a green person, but I have a green car now and I wear green shirts all the time. So maybe I am a green person now. Anyway, he did this like powder green color, which is really cool. I think that it looked excellent. What I didn't realize is before he had the Lista cabinets, he had some Sonic MSS cabinets. And you can see here, he actually had them powder coated the same green color as his Lista cabinets by a local powder coater. And that got me to thinking about my own Sonic cabinets. My Sonic cabinets are black and gray. And I've been thinking it would be cool to have all black, or be cool to have maybe a different color than the gray. You know, I really love my cabinets. I think that they're excellent. The build quality is fantastic. I'm thinking about maybe getting my doors powder coated at some point in the future. So we'll see if I end up doing it or not. I'm not quite sure what it would cost. Fred had his entire cabinet powder coated. I wouldn't need that, just the doors on mine. One of the things I was most excited to experience, he did Dynaudio Core speakers. And Dynaudio Core speakers are powered speakers. They're a PA style speaker, so they have the amplifier built in the back. And I have the Dynaudio LYDs in my office. I really like those, and the Cores are kind of a step up from the LYDs. In my garage, I have the Evokes. The Evokes are more of a traditional speaker. They don't have an amplifier in them. And I was interested to hear the difference between the Core and the Evokes. And the Cores are larger than the Evoke. His front, left, right, center are larger speakers. But those things really ripped. They sounded fantastic. I mean, that system sounded good for a living room, let alone a garage. Garage is a really harsh place. It's a hard place to make the system sound good. I thought those were really cool. And they wall mounted them, which gave them some extra countertop space. Just made me think about the possibility of doing something like that in the future, maybe messing around with some Cores in the future. Might be interesting to pick up a pair of Cores and compare them to the Evokes, Evoke with an amplifier versus a Core, and just mix and match, see how they sound, and you do like an A to B comparison. Fred did dual pressure washers, dual Kranzle K1322s. Now I have a single K1322. It's an excellent pressure washer. I love that thing. I've had it for 3 years. I've done barely any maintenance and I've had zero issues with it. It's just been a solid, awesome machine that I can count on 100% of the time. Fred did dual units, which is something that I've thought about doing quite a bit. Obsessed Garage actually sells a kit on their website where you can add a second Kranzle. There's a Y valve and some extra piping and different things like that that allow it to work, and you basically go from having 2 gallons per minute to having about 4.2 gallons per minute at the same 1000 psi. The reason I haven't done it yet is because of my water situation. So I have 400, 500 TDS water coming into my house depending on the day. And I have a water softener system and then a reverse osmosis and deionization system, and I store DI water in tanks. So I wash with DI water all the time. I only store about 45 gallons of water, which is enough to do like 3 cars. And my worry was that if I more than doubled the flow, I wouldn't move much faster around the car, so I'd probably use more water cleaning a single car, and I'd probably go down to being able to only do like 1 or 2 cars without refilling my tank. So that leads me to the next thing. Fred has the prototype of the Obsessed Garage reverse osmosis system, which is a high flow RO system. I'm really interested in that. I spent quite a bit of time looking at it, seeing how the system was designed. It's designed to have modules. So you can have a reverse osmosis module, you can have a deionization module, you can actually do 2 different stages of deionization in the same tank. So what I'm thinking is when that system becomes available, I'll probably do a reverse osmosis with a 2-stage deionization system. I would do anion and then mixed bed as my 2 stages because I used anion probably 10 to 1 to cation here with my water. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll put a link in the description to my water video. It's a lot to get into during this. With that system, it would flow over 8 gallons per minute with 3 stages. And that would be more than enough to keep up with the Kranzles, and I would not have to worry about storing water anymore. So it'd actually take up a smaller footprint in my garage and be a little bit easier to maintain, be able to handle higher volumes of water. So it's something that I'm interested in when it does become available. I don't know how much it's going to be. Fred used a clever approach to air and water. Instead of doing hose reels with air and hose reels with water in his main garage, he instead just kind of made it available throughout the garage. So he has 4 air manifolds in the 4 corners of his garage that he can just hook a little whip to and connect to whatever car or tool or whatever he needs to use. He made pressure washer water available on both sides of his garage. One side he has a reel inside his wash bay, and the other side he just has a hookup where he can use a small hose. He's got a little 25-foot hose for that. But it just created a really nice, clean look where you don't have these reels mounted all over the wall, which I thought was really cool as well. He has tons of storage, so everything is in a cabinet, everything's in a place. It just is a really, really clean look. He also made power available everywhere. There are so many receptacles in this garage. Every single cabinet almost has a receptacle inside it, and they're all, cut into the cabinet. And that was really cool too, because you can charge in every single cabinet. So, in my garage, I have power in that one cabinet that's over there that has all my Milwaukee tools in it. And that's where all of my chargers are. My Merca, my Rupes, my Milwaukee chargers, chargers for my camera batteries, different things like that. It would be really nice to be able to kind of spread that out amongst the garage. Like, this is where my polishers sit. Normally, they're hanging right here on the wall. I can't charge them here because I have no power on this wall. Because, to most people, the garage is an afterthought. To him, this was something that he planned and built. He's been building this thing for 2 years. So it's obviously a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of energy went into it. There was a really high level of attention to detail all over the garage. He, like the door rails on his garage doors were powder coated black, and everything was high lift and jack shaft. The doors are super nice, insulated doors. They were almost silent going up and down. Just a lot of different things throughout the garage. You could just tell that there was a really high level of attention to detail. There were a couple minor mistakes that were made, like the receptacle height above the cabinets was slightly low. They were at the standard 44 inches, and they should be, somewhere in the 48 range because the countertops are higher on the list of cabinets. So we ended up having to remove the Swiss tracks underneath the cabinets and drop the cabinets down on the ground to get 3/4 of an inch because we didn't have enough room underneath the receptacles. And some of these things, hindsight's 20/20. That could have been adjusted easily when the place was being built. After the fact, it's really not something that can be. I mean, there's drywall work that you could do, of course, but they just did an excellent job on everything. I really liked the splash of green. I didn't find it overwhelming. I thought that it was really nice. He has, some green throughout. All of his cabinets are green. His Prevost piping is green. It's like nitrogen pipe, but he's using it for air. His spray bottles are green. He's got a little detail cart that's green. He's got a mobile workbench, a Lista mobile workbench that was really cool. But it wasn't so much color that it felt, I don't know, busy or tacky. It was just kind of a splash because the garage is so big. The green is kind of a very small percentage of the garage. All in all, it's a really cool experience. I'm grateful for the opportunity to participate in it. I reached out to OG and I said, hey, you guys aren't far from me. Would I be able to come help? And Matt's like, yeah, sure, come on by. He shot me an address. And, I went there the first day and I laid Swiss tracks all day. I soldered a couple XLR cables onto the cores. I, just helped out with some odds and ends, moving some things around, assembling cabinets, leveling cabinets, just all kinds of different stuff. And, everybody was working nonstop the entire time I was there. Honestly, Fred was such a nice guy. He kept coming up to me, thanking me for helping. And, he was just offering food, water, going to get things, just so nice. And, bringing us lunch and dinner. And I realized, I went there to work for free, but I chose to do that, right? He didn't need to do any of that, but you know, he bought us really nice lunch, really nice dinner, and you know, just it couldn't have been a nicer guy. Like, he really, very deserving, very, very humble, very good dude. Had some great stories, and just a lot of, just one of those people that's really great to be around. If you haven't checked out the series on Obsessed Garage, go check it out. It's pretty cool. It was a lot of fun. Hopefully you found this interesting, a little different than what I normally do. I'd like to participate in more of these types of projects in the future. If you happen to be local to me and building a garage, I'd love to help out. Anyway, thank you for watching and have a great day.